And the K is like, but what's K? And I wish I had something clever to say, but
it's nothing.
But well, I go, Rick told me a story where the word kindred has a special place in his heart. Grandfather, right?
Yep. We were always referred to as kindred spirits.
So he said that, and like, that's good enough for me. Because actually, we go by JMK, but our business is actually officially JM Kindred.
Yeah, it's JM Kindred Creative Group is the full official name.
So we kind of shorten it up a little bit on stuff, but yeah, but that's what the K is.
For me, I'm more of like the front end of it.
I'm just making it up. Of a similar nature or character.
JMKast. JMKast.
But we get shocked often by Chris.
If you Google my name, it always pulls up Ric Flair and Blackjack Mulligan. That's another story for another time, though. Hey everybody, welcome back. Ric Mulligan with the JMKast, along with co-host
Greg T. Johnson.
And business partner.
I left out the T last episode.
You didn't give me
I know. I'm surprised you didn't you're like over there going, where's the T?
I don't think I thought about it when you said it. I forgot about it. Which is funny because when I email you, I only have to put in JT and it pops up. So it's or GT, GT. So I don't have GT. So I don't have to like type the whole thing out.
People always ask me, why do you do Greg T. Johnson? Why is that dang T so common? I'm like, well, look up Greg Johnson.
I literally have 2 Greg Johnsons in my phone, that of which I called the wrong one while trying to call you, and talked to him for a good 30 seconds before I realized it wasn't you.
Because, our client, one of our clients, there has a person we've interviewed more than once.
That's what I'm talking about.
With my same name.
Yeah.
And people go, well, why have the T? It's kind of important.
I like it. It works for you.
It does.
Like, I wish I had, like, Ric Mulligan. I'm kind of lucky in respect that there's no other Ric Mulligan that spells it R-I-C.
Yeah.
But it's funny, if you Google my name, it always pulls up Ric Flair and Blackjack Mulligan, the wrestlers, who evidently used to wrestle all the time in, like, the 70s and 80s. So anytime you search my name, that always comes up, which just cracks me up.
That's funny, Ric Flair. I just saw a documentary on him.
He's doing his last match, I think, this weekend. At like 80 years old.
I thought he already did his last match.
Evidently.
The documentary I saw, they were trying to accumulate a lot of his memorabilia. And
it was on the 30 for 30.
Put it all in the same place or whatever.
I think it was his 30 for 30 on ESPN, which is really good.
But it was kind of cool watching him try to, because he doesn't even, I guess he would give away a lot of his stuff to charity. And so he didn't even know what he was giving away. Yeah. And then now they're going, you gave that?
Yeah.
That you gave that robe away?
He gave his most popular robe to some.
And they took them forever to find it.
Oh, they did find it?
Yeah.
When I saw it, they hadn't found it.
Yeah, they finally found it.
That's funny.
But the guy was almost keeping it as hostage. It was some tough negotiations for them to get that one thing back.
Like, if he's a fan, I get it. Like, I'm a diehard Red Wings fan.
He's a collector and a fan.
Like, I'm a diehard Red Wings fan, and I have something upstairs that is a 1 of 1 that if this individual ever makes it in the Hall of Fame, I am going to have a whole lot of clout to be like, what's it worth to you? And I've literally, when I got it, I was just holding it and like going like this. And Michelle looks at me, she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm praying. She's like, why? I go, because if this guy makes it in the Hall of Fame, this is our retirement. And she just laughed at me. So it's a player's first ever game worn jersey.
Oh, wow.
So if he is literally good enough to make it to the Hall of Fame.
Someone you knew, or like how did
she got it? She bought it as a Christmas gift for me.
But she knew that it was the first.
It has a certificate from the NHL and the Detroit Red Wings stating that it is his first ever game worn jersey, and it's signed.
Why would he even give that away?
I don't know. And it's signed. It's
maybe it's the one he wore in practice.
I don't know. I don't care. It's got authenticities to it. So as far as I know, it is legit.
Anyway, back to the name thing. JMK. So our name of our business, it's JMK Creative Group.
Which is funny because we spent like about a month trying to figure out what we were going to call our company.
We did. And people and the thing is, people always go, what does JMK stand for?
Yeah.
And I go, well, that's easy. J is my last name. M is your last name, Rick.
It's the K that screws everybody
And the K
up.
is like, but what's K? And I wish I had something clever to say. But,
it's nothing.
But, well, I go,
I mean,
Rick told me a story where the word kindred has a special place in his heart. Grandfather, right?
Yep. We were always referred to as kindred spirits.
So he said that, and like, that's good enough for me. Because actually, we go by JMK, but our business is actually officially JM Kindred.
Yeah, it's JM Kindred Creative Group is the full official name.
So we kind of shorten it up a little bit on stuff, but yeah, but that's what the K is.
Yeah.
So
which I still love. It's still always it's my favorite part of our title.
Yeah.
Just because for me it gives me that like because my grandpa started a heating and cooling company in Michigan in the 50s.
Right.
And it still runs. My cousin now runs it, and it's always kind of felt like that connection to him for me. And it's just I know it's like people are like, oh, it's kind of silly, but it's like nah. It's like because he was my dad essentially. My dad wasn't around, so he was like my dad. Right. So it was just I don't know. It just worked for me. It was that connection that when you put it and said let's call it that. There was a no brainer. It was like that's perfect. Like that's absolutely perfect. So it just worked for me.
So I'm looking up the definition of kindred.
Oh, okay. Usually, I believe it refers to two people or two things that are like just perfectly or matched up or something like that.
Of a similar nature or character, or of the same ancestry. Which that definitely goes with your grandfather.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, in a way, it kind of me and you aren't like perfect matches in the sense of we're the same people.
No.
But I think we have traits that go well with each other.
Sure, absolutely. I agree with that completely.
And I mean, that's why I think for us this works really well.
No, I agree
as a partnership as we've done. Because you have your strong suits, I have my strong suits.
Absolutely. And
together our strong suits are even better.
No, I agree completely.
And I mean for me when it all went down on actually thinking of doing the business, I mean it was a no-brainer. It was kind of like
so weird how it like that whole thing presents itself too though. Like it's just I love the whole background of it.
Oh yeah, and,
we don't need to get into it. It's down the road.
Someday we'll share that story down the road a little bit. But I mean, and it's a very we hold that story dear,
and we both tell it the same way. That's how I know that's how you know it's legit because we both very much like it. Either one of us can tell that story, and you don't have to. The other person doesn't have to interject,
right?
Because we agree on it. Like there's you hear those stories where someone's like, oh, I went to the car and then I did this and like, well, then you did this. We don't do that. We don't have to.
Right. So. But no, I mean that's one of my favorite parts about our business.
No, I agree.
It's kind of how it all came about.
Yeah.
And it's grown. We've
had people that have worked with us.
We're still in the phase of we don't have actual official employees with any kind of benefits or anything like that. We're using people on contract basis and whatnot, and we've used several people. I mean I don't have a number of all the people. Charles,
Nigel.
There's actually two Charleses.
Charles, Chris. About 5 or 6 people I think we've used.
Yeah. Way back in the day, we used my guy I used to work with at Fleischmann, Oscar.
Oh, right, yeah.
We used him first. He was one of the very first people we used. Then we used Charles quite a bit.
But most recently, the addition has been Harvey, and he's
Harvey. I did a call out on Facebook with just people that we know, and what I'm, and maybe this is bad of me, but I'm kind of a stickler about following direction.
There's nothing bad about that. That's good. People should do that.
Even like when we set up our projects for our editing and stuff, am I a stickler?
No, but that's good though.
But am I a stickler?
Yeah, and you should be, because it allows.
Because remember, when we first were doing the project,
my stuff's all the time.
You were like, I'm like, no.
And I'm even more organized now since then. I've added extra steps.
Yeah,
like our encore stuff for
you
me. You
see the importance of it.
Like our encore stuff, you can ask me for a project and I can find it like that.
But when I set it up with you, I was like, you were like, oh, why is he making? You sort of fought me, but I'll go, one day you'll understand. One day you'll understand.
Oh, my organizational skills originally were a dumpster fire. There's no argument about that. I don't argue. I knew where it is. It's literally people's on their desk. Why'd you clean it? I knew where everything was.
Yeah, but now look, me and you, we can.
Now you know where everything is.
We can trade stuff back and forth. We share all kinds of drives and clouds, and we know where everything is always.
So
pretty
much.
It's just. And I mean, I was taught that. Someone else taught me the system we're using.
And I've taught Harvey. I showed it to Harvey too. Although it probably needs a refresher on it, I'm sure, because I only showed him once. But
but yeah, so I put the call out for us on Facebook and just said, hey, if anyone knows anyone, and we've used several people that had some experience, and we like obviously people with experience, but we're a startup, and I don't want to call us cheap.
No.
I'm
trying
not to call us cheap.
We're never cheap, because you and I both agree if someone is good at what they do, we're going to pay them what they're worth. We're never going to try to shortchange.
And we do, but we also know currently what we can do and what we can afford. Right. And I think
that's just smart business.
I thought when I did that, I was like, and that's why I said my little comment on the call out. We don't want someone that's won like 100 Emmys or whatever.
Right.
I don't want another me.
No, we can't. It's just a matter of being able to afford another.
Yeah. But we do want someone that wants to be in the business, that wants to learn the business, and that wants to be a part of our team.
Yeah.
Mostly. And the thing is, I love teaching. I used to do it when I was at Channel 8. I'd go watch people's stuff. I would, I would not critique really, but I would be like,
Coach,
if you do this or that or this, change this shot to here to there. I did it all the time.
Yeah. Sometimes flipping shots makes a story better.
Yeah, and I did it with some of our best photographers there. Yeah. And the thing is, they always appreciate it. No one ever looked at me and said,
someone who's willing to, because I learned that very early, that if you are. Take criticism for what it is and understand that if it's coming from a place of where someone's just trying to give good advice to help you, take that for what it is. But also, you can also tell sometimes that someone's criticizing you just to be rude. And if they're being rude, then you can disregard it. But if someone's opening and saying, hey, I saw something, it looks really cool, but just what I saw, not trying to tell you did it wrong, maybe try this. Sometimes that is the best thing you can get, because it's just advice from a colleague. I listen to stand-up comedy all the time, and every comic I listen to says the same thing. I love what my counterparts tell me. Hey, that joke was good, but. And it's like they hear that and they're like, oh, yeah. And it's just, you have someone else who understands your mindset, because we have very similar mindsets in terms of the product. And someone just giving you a little bit of advice goes a long way in terms of like, oh, you're right, I could have done that. And as someone who shoots, I know all the time I make mistakes shooting. I know I do. And I always, when I watch the video back, try to grow from it. And that's, with Harvey, we're in the learning phase with him. And, you said I think you had 4 or 5 guys said they were interested, but only one of them followed your directions, which was
and it was a simple direction.
Yeah, which was Harvey.
It was so simple.
Yeah.
Text me first.
Following directions tells me if they're going to follow the first couple things we ask them for, then they're always going to follow the directions.
That's not necessarily true.
Most of the time.
But for me,
they're more likely to.
For me, it's kind of a test.
Sure, of course.
Like if so anyway, Harvey did it first, the right way, and we set up a lunch with him. We both talked to him. We set up a lunch with him. We met him, and that was a surprise.
We now have a security guard. That
was a surprise.
Harvey's not a small human being, and I don't mean in terms of like
but
weight. He's tall.
What a good guy.
Absolutely,
what a good addition. I mean, one of the things I'm learning as we're teaching him is that I think pretty soon he's going to be teaching us, because there's stuff that we both, just in the process of getting to know him more through our business, we're finding out he has a lot of information that really goes with what we're doing.
Well, he has other strong suits.
Yeah.
Because the podcast world is kind of something that we're starting to really get into, and he understands it better than we do. And I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
He watches a lot of podcasts.
But he knows some stuff definitely that we do not know.
100%.
And I really look forward to, that part of the journey with him.
I'm looking forward to hanging out with him outside of work. I think him and I might go see a comedy show in a couple months.
Oh, cool.
So I was going to ask you about that today. We'll talk later.
Okay.
But anyway, doing stuff outside of work with him. He's a guy I like. I'd like to hang out with him.
Yes. No, he's a good guy.
And I think that's the in terms of for business for us, I think that becomes a crucial part of being successful, is the fact that you like the people we're working with.
And you know what? He had a job where he had to deal with customer service,
which is huge.
And in any kind of job where you're dealing with clients you just have to know how to deal with that. And he even recently had some kind of not so great experiences in having to deal with client service that he's set up on by his employer.
For sure.
And we're the benefactors.
Such a good addition.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to when he finally has a camera in his hand and starts to that's where we can really teach him.
And you know what? My camera just came back, so we finally have a camera. We have now a spare camera, so I can give him that.
Because he's done an
set of gear.
He's done an edit session with me, and he's edited a few things for us that are on the much easier editing side. The lifting of it was much easier.
Right.
And then the plan would be for the next round of edit instruction, he sits down with you, and you can the way we work is I come from editing news, so I'm very quick, and I tend to put stuff together very fast, and then I kind of go through and check it, whatever. And then Greg is much more our fine tuner. He goes in and cleans up all the unnecessary stuff, if there is any. I've gotten much better about, especially with our package type news stuff. But he does much more of the cleaning up, which is where the teaching element will come in much stronger for Harvey.
Yeah, the station we used to work at, they used to call me the fixer.
Yep.
Which
they did.
Not the fixer in the sense of what you think on a TV show is when they're the fixer, but yeah, they called me the fixer, which I always went, okay. Who am I supposed to take out?
Well, leave that right there. Think of a couple people.
But anyway, Harvey's a great addition.
He's awesome.
We will continue to talk about him. He'll join us as well eventually, but we just want to share this journey with him in teaching, in him teaching us what he knows, all that stuff.
He's hungry too. Just every time you talk to him, he wants to learn more.
Yep.
He's just always asking questions. And it's not that he's asking questions; he asks the right questions.
Right.
There's someone can ask questions where you're like, yeah, you should know that by now. But he's like always asking questions where you can tell he's learning. So.
And I really believe eventually he's going to be someone that helps us get other clients.
Oh, for sure.
Something I feel about him.
I think at some point he'll be a good third person in terms of like right now, if we go to a shoot, one of us goes. Even if Harvey or a freelancer come with us, one of us is there. But I think he'll be at a point where he could go and we wouldn't have to be there. I think we'll get there at some point. It'll take time, but he'll be there.
Yeah. And I guess this is where we should mention Chris, because I kind of hate. I
thought we were for sure going to get to Chris.
Yeah,
it wasn't that I was shortchanging Chris. Chris is a different monster, and I mean that literally. Chris is in a different ball.
Chris, you'll actually see on our website if you were to go to our page. He's kind of almost like a, I don't know, a silent partner is the correct word at all, but he has a big role in what we do. And
he's an editing genius in terms of creativity.
we just kind of like let him go. Like if there's a project we have that we're like, it needs a little something.
Let Chris take care of it.
Give it to Chris, and whoa, does he just like, you're like going,
Where'd you come up with that?
What the heck?
The most recent one. Like I watched it again today, and I'm just like,
oh, did you watch it?
I've watched it both times. I watched it when he sent it to me originally, and then I watched the one you sent me, which was I believe the version you sent me was the second pass.
Right.
Because I'd watched his original.
Okay.
But when I'm watching this, he just, some of the stuff he did, I'm like, I never would have thought of that.
Well, he literally only got 25 sound bites from cell phones.
Yeah, which you could tell.
No, but but you saw the finished thing.
Yeah.
Like there's like
it's amazing.
Light bulbs and sound bites from.
He put stuff in green walls. He put stuff on tablets, and
I'm like,
there's things he did that I'm just like, where'd you come up with that? I mean, he's amazing.
Like, yeah, but he floors us every time. We're just like, wow.
So if you're ever looking for someone that's an amazing editor, we have a person on our team.
Yeah, we have a person on our team that can do things that shock us, and we have a background that you would not think we would be shocked.
Yeah.
But we get shocked often by Chris.
I think he has shocked me every time. I don't think we've had one thing that I've gotten back from him where I was like, where my mouth didn't go.
Well, he's also shocked us where we had to kind of bring him. We had to bring him in sometimes. It's like, okay, Chris, you can't be Chris this time.
Yeah, we need you to. Sometimes you have to tell him to stay in the lines.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, he likes to color outside the lines quite often.
Sometimes when he colors Elmo's blue, and Cookie Monster's pink.
But that's why we love him. That's why we love him. That's why we use him. That's why. Yeah. And funny, he's a guy that I worked in San Antonio with. He was an editor there. And that's how me and him started. And if you go to our website,
he's on there.
Yep.
Probably should.
It says the story.
Probably should add Harvey at some point.
We probably should.
I probably should put Harvey on there.
Yep. But we'll have to get a bio from Harvey.
I want him to do a football picture.
That would be awesome.
Because Harvey was an offensive. He was a right tackle. When I asked him why right tackle, and he said, "Well, I wasn't fast enough to be a left tackle." And then I said, "Well, question then: if the quarterback was left-handed, would they have flipped you?" He was like, probably. Oh. Because he was the left tackle always protects the blind side.
Right.
And
we've all heard that movie.
Right, of course.
Right.
But he told me the reason he was a right tackle is because he wasn't quite fast enough.
Okay.
I was like, okay, well, that's interesting.
He's 6'7".
6'7", 405. He's a big boy. He is a large human being. And he drives a very tiny car.
Which actually he says that car is perfect for him. He says that's why he drove it. He says in his previous job he had the ability to drive all kinds of cars.
That's a good.
And that was the car that he could
most
manipulate.
In and out of. Right.
Yeah, and that's why he ended up with that car.
That makes sense.
And I think he wants a truck of some sort though.
I got one. Make a deal with him. God,
we're not trying to sell your truck today, right? Anyway, yeah, I think eventually Harvey's going to help us get clients. I know Chris has tried many times, and it's always it's an interesting process when we get some of the bids or some of the possible ways of we got the ability to get other clients.
Video world is interesting to me in terms of people
so many different ways.
Like we could literally do an entire episode talking about like the people get shocked by.
We should.
They get shocked by. They almost get sticker shock, and it's funny sometimes because you're like, I don't know. I don't know how to say it without. I don't want to sound terrible. Like I feel like I'm gonna like bash people, but that's not what I'm trying to do.
That's a whole nother thing. Yeah. I'm just talking about in general what the things we have to do to get clients sometimes, and because I know Chris he's been really big on getting possible proposals together and stuff in the Houston and San Antonio area, in which we're from Dallas, so and which is kind of cool knowing that we can expand ourselves.
I'd love to travel
through the whole state of Texas, but we've actually came really close a couple times.
I'm still shocked that we don't have a client in Michigan.
Yeah, well,
I'm so frustrated by that one.
Then there's the Michigan one.
I'm still very frustrated by that one.
But it's always interesting what people, here's the number one, and this is for those that want to do what we do. The number one thing you have to have, and you need to have it ready to go. And Rick and I will tell you, we go back and forth and changing it sometimes, or updating it, or all kinds of little tweaks to it, because we found out that clients want other things.
Right.
And sometimes you just have to update it to include those other things so other people know, one, you can do it, two, what it would take for you to get you to do it.
Right.
And but that one thing is like a bid sheet or a rate sheet.
Right.
And everyone's going to want to know, like in our business, they're going to want to know how much it costs to do a photography shoot or video shoot, and they're going to want to know the add-ons like extra people, and then they need to be aware of overtime, having shoots that run long, and then the crew doesn't get a lunch, just all kinds of little variables, because
breakdown of like full day, half day. Why don't you charge hourly? Why is it half day, full day?
Yeah, and the thing is, we would do hourly, but we would do it in a retainer kind of a situation.
Sure.
And we've had people go, well, I'm just going to pay you so much an hour. And in the past, we've done it. I think we've decided just for ourselves that doesn't work. No. I think under a retainer, it would work. One of the reasons why we don't do hourly, other than in the situation of a retainer, is because what happens is the person, they book you for, say, 2 hours, but yet you're almost got to reserve the whole day for those 2 hours. And then just 2 hours it just isn't worth the travel. And I mean, because that 2 hours becomes 4 hours
or more
just by doing it. And sometimes I don't think when people are booking you in that kind of way, they understand how much time that really is going to take them. Like in their eyes, it's 2 hours, but in reality, it's really 4 hours, because not only do they want you to do the shoot, but then they want the files. And the way we work is that's also our time. We don't include that as part of the shoot. That's part of our editing process, and it goes into the rates for our editing process.
And depending on how much we shoot, in theory, like if you shoot, say someone hires you for 2 hours, you're probably not shooting 2 hours with a video if you're on one camera. And we almost never use one camera. We typically 3 to 5.
And which we do some different stuff. Like there's a lot of people out there that charge per the gear that they're using.
Sure.
Like each camera would be a different cost.
And we do that with some elements. If we have to add a drone or we have to add other things like that, those are a different cost.
Yes.
But not on our primary rate sheet.
But usually it's, if we're on a shoot, whatever Rick shows up with his used and whatever and if we're both there, which that's the way we like to work the most.
Absolutely.
Because we know how to get the most out of a situation when we're together.
True.
And, even though we've had a couple of issues with some bookings on the double booking, deciding that we're 2 crews rather than a crew and a helper, which is essentially what we try to be. But yeah, everything's different, and you find out every shoot is unique.
Oh yeah.
But
even when you're with the same client, it's still different.
It is.
Do the same thing. We have Encore as a client, and it's different every time. Well, it's the same, but it's different.
They're like, okay, we're going to go with crews today. And okay, you've seen the people get in the bucket truck and go up on a pole. And we've shot that how many times?
Individually, both of us, probably 15.
Yeah.
But at least.
Each time the shoot is not even, it's not the same.
Weather comes into play. Size of the crew comes into play. Location comes into play. Project that they're doing comes into play. Like what they're doing. Are they doing something that takes an hour? Or are they doing something that takes an entire day? You know, are they removing a light pole? Which is that's been my favorite one that I've done, where they pull a light pole out. You know, so it just depends.
Well, I had one where they put the light pole in.
Oh, we should put them together. We should. Well, technically, I had that too.
Now that we have a pole going in and a pole coming out. How about that?
The pole coming out was awesome because the pole broke.
Oh,
it
wow.
broke off the base.
Yeah.
So they were trying to lift it, and I wanted it to break so bad because I wanted that snapping, pinging sound. They wanted it just to come up clean.
Of course.
And it just snaps and goes breaking, stuff goes flying, and I was just like, that's what I wanted. And I got a perfect shot of it. It was awesome.
He'll probably, I mean, to be perfectly honest, it'll probably never make one of their videos, but...
Oh, no, it's in there. It's in there.
Oh, is
it's
it?
in the poll. Yeah, when they did
I'm surprised.
I'm
surprised they actually would leave that.
Well, because they were removing it. So they were, but I got it in there.
But
it's in there.
You would think.
I'm so excited.
You would think that, I mean, I would think at least that maybe that wasn't something they would want.
Yeah, no, they were fine with it. No one got injured, so I think that's why they were okay with it.
Well, thank goodness no one got injured.
God, no one's had that yet. So.
I mean, I nearly had a little heat situation a couple,
I've had that. I had a couple
weeks ago. Oh, man. Yeah, it's hot here in Texas right now.
Well, they put me in a jumper to go into when I had to go on the ground.
Yeah.
And because you had to be covered.
Yeah.
Worst thing, barely fit me. But when we came out of it, I was just, I mean, sweat was rolling off me so much so that I had to go sit down.
Right.
So that's another story for another time, though.
It is. I think we're out of time.
Yeah.
So
God, it goes by fast.
It does go by fast. I mean, phew.
Right.
But like, subscribe. Thanks for listening to our podcast.
Yeah,
share with your friends. And JMKcreativegroup.com.
Yeah.
That's where
give us 5-star ratings too. 5-star ratings help us.
Yeah.
Those are nice. Comments are cool too.
Yeah, comments.
I love questions. I love someone to ask us.
Yeah, ask us questions about things we haven't talked about yet.
And we'll definitely read your question on the show and talk about your question on the show.
Absolutely. But that goes for another episode of JMKast.
Thank
you. Bye.